Chester Stats, Reggie Johnson, Eugene Morgan, coming to you from Love City of Atlanta, Georgia, in this fresh 2025 year we have. Let's go full screen for the people here, Eugene. But we are fresh 2020. How's your New Year's? You do anything exciting anything there?
No, man. I just laid around, watch TV, watch a little football. You know, it was kind of nice. Yeah.
A lot of guys would call that living the dream, my friend.
Yeah,
So that's what we just want to
really
lay around
is.
and watch football, man. That's pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And there was some football to watch. And as the college football playoffs kind of settle here, there were some surprises here. I think of that Texas-Arizona game, especially with your boy Scatter, which is going crazy. And the Georgia game to me wasn't as surprising just due to Gunnar Stockton being the quarterback in there, starting in like the worst possible time ever to have a quarterback in there, a new quarterback in there starting against another team that's won more games than you have, right? You don't want to go against a team that's won more games than you, and you're running your rookie quarterback out there. You're running your guy out there. It was this. He played the last game, right? Didn't Beck get hurt last game? And Stockton had to play some of that.
He did. He came in and saved us against Texas for the SEC championship, and he's played some garbage time games. But yeah, he did what he expected. Man, it's tough to, like you said, Notre Dame. It's not like they were. It's not like it's not like a Notre Dame team that we've always thought, does Notre Dame really belong? That team really belongs.
They've only lost one game, ladies and gentlemen. They're 12-1.
Exactly.
And they still have only lost one game.
Exactly. Right. I mean, yeah, so I could do some nitpicking and go, maybe we don't have a couple fumbles, a couple this, couple that.
Yeah, for sure. A couple of key
turnovers, but I mean,
then they wanted to blame the it's kickers and stuff like that. They wanted to blame the kicker, but I think at the end of the day, Travis Etienne in the very beginning of the game, I think had a fumble in the red zone. And I feel like that hurts you more than your kicker hurts you. That fumble in the red zone hurts you way more than that kicker missing that kick later in the game. Now, I understand that later in the game, the time of the game hurts you more because you have less of it. But a fumble in the red zone when you're about to score, where you have a massive swing in points, so now you're not getting any points, and the other team has the ball, that is more consequential to your winning prospects, in my opinion, versus just a kicker missing kick, unless he just misses a ton of them. But it's a team game. I don't think you can just blame them, and you shouldn't be coming down to just kicks anyway. And when you were watching this game, Georgia never looked like the better team. Let's just keep it above. Georgia never looked the better team. When I was watching Arizona and Texas, they took turns looking like the better team. Like, at times, right? When I watched this Georgia game, I don't know if I've ever felt like, hey, man, I'm feeling very good about this. You know what I mean? Like the way this is going,
Yeah.
Because I'm rooting for Georgia and I'm rooting for SEC after that. So now I got to root for Texas. So I'm thinking like they're going to go in here and destroy this team. A lot of people are because we're SEC guys, but I don't know if a lot of people watched a lot of Notre Dame football and then the record. In fact, they are here where they are. Do you think Beck would have made a difference? There are a lot of people down on Carson Beck. Would he have made a difference in this game?
I don't know if it. I mean, maybe more of the passing. I mean, obviously.
What was the final score? What was the? I don't know how many they lost by.
27-13, I think it was the final.
Okay, so I feel like the kid may be good for like another touchdown, but and that's even maybe that. A lot of times these players one player doesn't usually cause you a 7-point swing in a football game. So I don't know if with the margin being what it is, a Carson Beck would have been able to get maybe makes it closer. But I don't know if
closer, but I mean, I mean, he's been so up and down all season.
Correct.
And he's looked better the last few games. But that Georgia Tech game, I mean, before he got hurt, he was pretty abysmal then. So I mean, it's really hard for you to judge it. And this, I mean, just and this, full disclosure, this Georgia team just hasn't had the running attacks like they have in the past. Their running game's been kind of like the staple, and we just really haven't had that number one guy this year. Right. I mean, Etienne, it is good, or I'm pushing the poor guy's name, but
Etienne,
thank you. I knew
it's Trevor, right? It's Trevor.
Yeah, it is Trevor.
Travis is the one that's playing with it. Yeah, it's funny because Travis is playing with Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
and we're discussing his brother Trevor Etienne right now. Very
I mean, not saying he didn't have a a great season, but yeah, we were definitely expecting a lot more. But yeah, I mean, you know what? Somebody was asking me today, it's like, how do you feel? It's like, I'm okay because it's a little easier take when you've had back-to-back championships. So it's like, yeah, we've won back-to-back national championships. So I'm okay. I'm fine.
That's kind of how it is as me as a Bama fan. Like
right.
We've had a lot of fun here
Yeah,
these last
we've
these
had
last
fun.
few years.
We're
So
good.
with our teams, when you look at our respective teams, I think you guys were lost 2 games this year, and we lost 3 games this year, right? So even then, and look at it, the pleasure, it must be an amazing feeling. And I tell you, it is kind of as a Bama fan to be able to have a 9-3 season and absolutely panic the way that they're panicking in Bama right now. We lost 3 games this year, and they're having meltdowns in Bama. The fan base is having meltdowns over Jalen Milroe and his play. So, which they're not going to have to worry about now because he's going to the NFL. But same thing with some of our Georgia fans. Some of our Georgia fans having meltdowns, and I'm like, these teams are not trash. Like they've lost 2 or 3 games, and we're so used to them losing 1 that we may think are just being so dominant that we feel like we deserve it, right, Eugene? We deserve to win all of our games. But listen, other teams are going to get better, and then every year is not going to be your year. And guys, we were, at least from Bama fan, we were 1 game away from the playoffs, literally. And when we lost to Michigan, it just showed we didn't deserve to be in there, in my opinion. Like we went to Michigan, we lost, and we had some bad losses on our record. Bama really wasn't good enough. I definitely think that we would have had a more entertaining game than the SMU game during the playoffs. I think we would have been more entertaining than that.
Really agree with that.
But I can't say we deserve it because we did. We went to Michigan too, and we kind of solidified why we didn't deserve to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, but I always look at that as just your level of competition in the bowl, right? I mean, because I don't want to judge Bama because you lost to Michigan. Of course, I know Big Ten people are going to go crazy, but it's just like, but do you think if Bama played, let's just play SMU in the playoff, I just think it's a different team. It's a different attitude.
Correct. It's a different program.
Yeah.
So Michigan to Bama is a 1-to-1 ratio program to me. Michigan's a big boy program. Bama or Michigan to SMU? No, bro. No. It's not the same, and it's not in the same class of program. That's why you really need in this playoff system, in order for these teams to feel like the SMUs of the world, to feel like they did have a shot, then you're going to have situations where these teams are either playing better competition, where everybody can, you can have a situation where the competition is better across the board, or we have a situation where one of these teams that doesn't play anybody, Eugene, is going to have to come in here one day and really upset somebody. Like they're going to have to come in here and legitimize that. They're going to come in here. They have to be like a 10th seed and come in here and knock somebody off. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, okay, that's why we have a playoff. We knew all along that some of these guys we may never expected. But when you look at what the playoff looks like now, look at the programs. Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, and Notre Dame. That's not exactly Kennesaw State. These are 4 powerhouse programs, and after the playoffs, it's still 4 powerhouse, 4 big programs.
Right. Exactly. And then you throw Clemson in there, who's won a national champion.
Yeah.
I mean,
you pretty much got big programs with the exception of like three schools in here, right? If you look at the playoffs and how this list, and we're looking at the playoff list on the screen here, you're SMU and Boise.
Yeah.
Every other, and Arizona State. Let's take Arizona, SMU, and Boise out of here. Let's take 3 out of here. Ohio State, big boy. Tennessee, big boy. Oregon, big boy. Texas, big boy. Clemson, big boy. Notre Dame, Georgia, Penn State, all big boy programs. And you could argue Indiana. In Indiana, I think you probably put in the SMU Boise situation as well. But most of these programs are the big boy programs that existed prior to the playoffs.
Yeah. And I think it's like, I heard somebody say this, like they got to work on the reseeding after this. Like, Arizona State and SMU did not deserve to be, I know they won their conference and they're the conference champions, but they did not deserve to be the
Thank you. But how do you know what, Eugene? Like, this is where I hate about this system. It's overly rewarding these conference champions. We know you're being rewarded with bye weeks and home playoff games for winning a championship as if all of these are equal, as if they're all made to be the same, right? But to stick up for college football a bit here, this was a problem you're having in NFL as well. Like with teams that would be horrible, a losing team, and they'll get a playoff game because they're in a terrible division. They'll get a home playoff game. It might be 7-10. but everybody in their division is worse than them. I don't know how you solve it, man. Like these teams, these leagues want to reward these conference champions. They want to reward these division champions. How do you solve that problem without just seeing so many better? We're going to have that problem in the NFL now. Maybe this year I got to look and see. But when you look at leagues like the NFC North, right? Or the NFC East, you look at like where you have 3 teams, or the NFC North, not the East, because the East is just Washington. I'm pretty sure. I got to see who else is in there. But Washington and the Eagles. So you do have 2 teams, the double-digit wins. They're going to be dealing with that.
Right.
That NFC North with the Vikings, Detroit, and the Lions, they're going to be dealing with that. All teams that are better than these division winners on paper, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, the thing was the community told us all along what they were going to do. They were going to reward the conference champion, which is fine. I get that, but you cannot put an SMU over even Tennessee, even Ohio State. You cannot do that. I mean, or I just think that's where they just kind of hurt themselves. But again, it's it's college. They'll unfortunately, like, they'll autocorrect themselves next year. So I think next year you'll see they'll reward a team like a Tennessee or Ohio State have maybe those 1 or 2 losses being in the buys, because yes, you win your conference championship, great. You should be in, but that does not mean you get an automatic buy.
Correct. Especially when in your conference championship, if you're playing each other. If you're the 2 teams that the league is looking at, that all the fans are looking at with the side eye, and you guys are playing each other in your conference championship, which I think is what happened with Boise and SMU.
Yeah.
I think they played each other.
No, Boise played SMU played Clemson.
Okay, so SMU, and they both got in because Clemson beat them. So Clemson beat them, and they both get in. So I think that what ends up happening is if you have situations where you have these teams where they've already, like SMU, in my opinion, could have been left off, but I understand why they did not leave them off. You want to reward the year, but rewarding the year as if everybody plays the equal year is the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the problem. You're looking at the year as if everybody is playing the same people. You know what I mean? And you have teams. Look at Miami. Miami got exposed. They had a very easy record. And they got exposed. You're gonna get exposed with these. A friend of mine said, "Play nobody shows up in the playoffs. Ain't play nobody shows up in the playoffs." And it does. And you can't. I think there's maybe a stronger adherence to the scheduling. I know they've always looked at strength of schedule. But I think now it's even more important, because if you're in the SEC, you got to play each other. Another team is in a conference that's clearly weaker, and they're playing each other, and they're put on the same pedestal as if the SEC and this other conference are the exact same conference, or the Big Ten and this other conference are the exact same conference. Doesn't make sense. That makes sense. I feel like they're going to have to dig a little deeper into there. Let's talk a little NFL football, man. What did you think about your boy? Oh, you know what? Before we do that, any thoughts on the Texas game? Let's talk about the Texas game. Any thoughts on the Ewers? Because people are saying, let's talk about Ewers here. So let's talk at Ewers and Scadaboo from a draft standpoint, okay? So people are saying, because my Georgia friends are so out on Carson Beck, it's ridiculous. Like, man, my Georgia friends are out on the kid, man. Like they just,
well, he declared, so we're good. We're moving on. So. We're good.
That's what the Bama fans sound like with Milroe, man. Goodness gracious, these teams, man, like we no loyalty. Bama wanted to get Milroe out of here, and my Georgia fans don't even think Beck's getting drafted when I talk to them, and I'm like, yo, he's gonna get drafted by some team that's desperate.
He's gonna get drafted because the draft is so weak. Yeah, it's so weak. Quarterback.
Some team is gonna get desperate and reach.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the reach draft here for a quarterback.
So let's talk Ewers and Scadaboo here.
Yep.
Let's talk draft prospects for both of these guys, because I think one is significantly improved their draft prospects, and one is just kind of like held serve, I guess, because he's had kind of a down year. Ewers coming into this year, people thought that he can compete for like the Heisman damn near. People have had like very high hopes for Ewers coming into the year. As I talked to some of my Texas friends, they had soured on him down the stretch. I'm not sure why. It was crazy because my Georgia friends were souring on Beck around the same time that my Texas friends were souring on Ewers. So I had a Beck Ewers situation where they were just crapping on both those guys. So Ewers, from what I have been talking to my friends, talking to people, they don't think the guy's going first round. I think he still has a chance to go first, second. What's your thoughts here?
I don't. Well, it's the things that's hurt him is he's had injuries, right? The oblique,
Yes.
ankle,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I mean you see it there, but if I'm him,
Glimpses, right? It feels like I see glimpses of it.
glimpses, yeah. If I'm him, why not just go back another? I mean, we all know he's not going back to Texas because they're putting Manning in there, and
Which they should.
Yeah, which they should, right?
Right? Because if I'm Manning, how long are you gonna wait? If I'm Manning, I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting much longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Then I'm like kicking around the NIL, can, right? If you're gonna bring if your year is gonna be, but if I'm him, I'd just go back. Go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. Have another season under him, and just because it's so there's really only two guys who I think we're gonna be talking about in this draft being in the first round. I mean, yes, there'll be maybe some reachers, for the other quarterbacks. But for him, why not just go back? Especially with NIL money, you're gonna go somewhere and someone's gonna pay you. So why and just improve your stock and go back? That's what I would do if I was him.
Yeah, can he go back? Does he have eligibility still?
Yeah, he has eligibility. Yes, he does.
It's a rough situation there, man. I think Ewers personally. I think by the time we get to because. Even if you felt like Ewers was a 5th round player, by the time you get to April, GMs have talked themselves. They've watched all your tape. They start to fall in love with these quarterbacks, and they've talked to you from if you thought he was a 5th initially in December, November. By the time April gets around, the guy's like a 3rd or 2nd. He's floating, and he can get into that first with the right circumstance. Just depending on what teams are drafted where. Now, what a good point that somebody brought up to me was the teams that are drafting and where they are drafting. So basically, if you miss that guy, if they miss him, like there's a window that if you get outside that window, a lot of those teams aren't going to need quarterbacks, and you're going to end up falling down the list.
Right?
Where do you put him at? I say 2nd, 3rd latest to me. I think Ewers goes 3rd round latest.
Yeah, I could see that. That's why I'm saying why be that 2nd or 3rd round quarterback when you just go back.
I think he still has a chance to go in the first, man. Like who is it? He has Cam Ward,
and Shedeur Sanders.
So those are your only two.
Those are only two.
Those are the only runaway guys, right?
Yep.
Now, if I'm Ewers, I'm looking at that, and in your competition now, it's gonna be like your Jalen Milrose of the world. I'm like, yo, bro, I might be able to get into that first round, at least get into that second one. There's just not many other guys there. Do you think that it's a situation where Scatterboo drops out of the first, second round or so?
I don't know if I see him as a first rounder. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's
where
great.
Would you place it? Where would you place Scatterboo getting drafted at right now?
So I was looking at him. So obviously, we all see him. We all see Mike Allstott, right? I think we all see this guy as Mike.
Really?
So, I mean, if you watch him play, I
like Mike, but I don't know if Mike. I think he's more skilled than Mike, in my opinion.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm just saying, just fullback. Obviously he
has that all-stop build for sure, right?
All-stop build.
All-stop might be a little taller than him.
Right. I'm just saying, just kind of that. Who reminds me just the way he bangs in there. I just don't see him as an every down back. I could be wrong, but I could just see him being like that second or 3rd round. I know I've seen the 4th rounder. I just think it's like this draft is not. There's not a lot of talent that's coming out of this draft. I mean, there are some guys, so I can see him sneaking in. It's like, why not take a flyer on this guy? You could definitely see. Who would probably take him, and it just be, and you'd be shaking your head. The Chiefs. This is like a Chiefs guy, like your second round pick.
Yo, that's funny because they did an interview with him, and he kind of alluded to that a place that he would like to play at. He kind of alluded to the Chiefs.
So isn't it just like
because he alluded to that as well?
Funny, like it's just another back they could put back there who can, come in 3rd downs, can throw the ball, can do trick plays with Andy Reid. I mean, that's just it's just like that. That's a Kansas City Chiefs guy if I've ever seen one before.
So we got New England at the top. If the end of the day now, time of recording, we got one more week to go. Or we're a few games, not a whole week, but I got a few games that still need to be played. But it's kind of like where we are now, games can only move one direction. So they can either have one more win or one more loss where we are now. New England Patriots scheduled to pick at the top. They're not going to take a quarterback.
Nope.
Browns. The Browns pick at the top. And you know, another thing too that's crazy about this, we have to remember, just because you see people in these positions that don't need quarterbacks, don't mean they're not trading out of the position for that very reason.
Oh yeah,
they don't need a quarterback, so they're opening. They're working those phone lines and seeing who wants this pick.
Who do you want?
So you better believe that you're not safe if you just see a team sitting there. You're like, they don't need a quarterback. Oh, you're not safe, man, because that team might trade with another team. You have our Raiders. The Raiders are calling, and they've jumped up in the first. You know, something like that could happen, right? See what the Raiders are picking now. The Raiders are picking 8th right now. Ooh, not getting Shedeur at 8.
Nope.
They're gonna have to do some work because Cleveland Browns are gonna probably take a quarterback. They should, in my opinion. They should take a quarterback, in my opinion. Deshaun Watson's down to like 2 years of that horrendous contract.
Yep.
You've seen he was out this past year. Why you would not take a quarterback? I don't understand why you wouldn't. So Cleveland is a problem if I'm teams. Tennessee, not a problem. New York's a problem.
Oh, wait, Tennessee's a problem. Tennessee's they're drafting a quarterback.
You think so? You don't think they're gonna keep Will Levis?
No, they benched him for your boy.
Mason Rudolph.
No, they're done.
I thought Levis got hurt.
No, they benched him.
Was Levis a healthy bench? I thought he got hurt and benched.
No, he's a healthy. I mean, he's a healthy scratch. And plus, and anything you watch this season would make you think you'd want him to be your quarterback?
No, man. Healthy scratch is the worst 2 words in sports. Healthy scratch. If that's the case, okay, so let's revisit this. If what we say is true about here Will Levis, because I had taken Tennessee off my list because Will Levis just got drafted so recently. So I taken him off my list. But if you've already benched a guy and you feel like the team is already moving on, it doesn't cost a lot to move off these rookie quarterbacks these days.
Especially when you draft in the 3rd round, I think. So you're not tied to that 3rd or whenever he got drafted, 2nd or 3rd round. He wasn't drafted in the 1st round, so you're not tied to that 5th year.
Man,
do I keep him? Do I not dance?
Okay, so when I look here, I see the Giants, I see the Titans, I see the Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
So we have problems. Houston, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem because in just looking at the draft picks as I see them here now, in the top 8 picks.
Yep.
4 teams in the top 8 need a quarterback.
Yep.
That's where it's good. Yeah, that's why Ewers is going to get drafted, man. That might be why Beck gets drafted. This is why these guys are going to get drafted because you have that. You might have a free agent, maybe a Kirk Cousins fills a spot somewhere,
or JD McCarthy.
That to happen. JD McCarthy, which I don't understand why I wouldn't move off of him if I'm the Vikings. Not yet. I don't think I would move off of him yet because I don't like the fact that you don't know what you got. Remember how from an Atlanta fan, man, we have PTSD moving off Brett Favre. At least I do. I remember that. I remember Atlanta Falcons moving off Brett Favre and this guy throwing 60,000 yards on his way into the Hall of Fame. So I feel like I'm not saying that's going to happen with JJ McCarthy, but I have a little bit of I'm sensitive to moving off of quarterbacks very early. Let's just say that, especially ones like JJ McCarthy, where you haven't even seen him play at all, Eugene, right? The kid hasn't played, period. So you don't even know what you're moving off of with JJ McCarthy.
Cheap contract, right? For that backup. Why not? Just hang on to him and let someone just give you. I
would hang up for exactly the same reason that you just said. It's a cheap guy to keep back there.
Yep.
It's a cheap guy to keep back there. I'm not moving off of him until he's off that rookie contract. That's just the way it would be for me. Like when he's out of the rookie money and I don't have to pay him on a cheap no more, then you see you later, kid. I'll see what I can get for you.
Unless I get somebody calling, because this would be the year teams get desperate, right? Because there's not a lot, like I said, 2 kind of guys in the quarterback draft that we think are going to be good, but still
teams that need core QBs. I see room for Scatterby to go in the 1st round. So we know Gentry's going to go. But I see room for Scatterby. I really do. I do see room for him to go. I think that he can go 1st or 2nd round, but it depends on how things need to fall here. But I don't think he's going to drop tremendously. What do you think about this guy here, Michael Penix Jr.? What are your thoughts?
I think we should have made it. We should have made the switch sooner. I mean, you could see that.
Why would you say that?
Well, you could see just in the Washington game, if he just had a couple more reps with the receivers, man, you could see like he's missing those overthrows that happen kind of like during your first couple games or when you just kind of get that timing, and you can see it's like,
Trying to
oh
get timing
man,
right with your receivers.
exactly. Like he overthrew a Drake London, and it's like, man, if he's not comfortable throwing that 50-50
He missed
ball
on
yet.
a few. He missed on a few.
Yeah,
He had a
yeah.
few rookie throws in that
He had some,
Washington game.
but it's. I mean, I'm not saying, oh, he's good. He's the future, but I mean, he looks better than Kirk Cousins, and that's right now he's definitely the right now guy. And
what's interesting is in order for me to say that, I can say that this kid better win games. Eugene, Kurt won a 7. I'm gonna need this kid to do something before I put him over Kurt. I need him to do something because I'm a very big results guy. That's how I am even in my regular life. I'm a very big guy of like just looking at what the end result is. And the end results are when Kirk left, we were 7-7. And Kirk can say that. He said, when I left, we were 500, 7-7, the same amount of games that y'all won all the last 3 years. And we still had games to play. So I feel like that's something that Kirk would have, and we can't be taken away from him. The only thing that Kirk has going against him, in my opinion, is the turnovers, and the turnovers are unacceptable. Turnovers will get you.
And then he lost some
in
games
in
too.
80 games.
Right. We were in the driver's seat with Kurt in the division, so he lost a lot.
That's true. He did, but I got to give it to him here. If Younghoe makes a couple more of those kicks, Kirk Cousins still the quarterback here, and we have a winning record. If Younghoe makes a couple of those field goals, like I don't say that Younghoe has to make all of them, but if Younghoe makes a couple of those, we have a different record. And I think Kirk Cousins would still be. I don't think they would have benched him as in with a winning record. I don't think they would have benched him.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to bench any quarterback with it's hard to bench a quarterback even with a 500 record. It's just difficult to do. The eye test, the Raiders situation gave them the perfect excuse because it was a lowly team. It was such a lowly team. Kirk didn't look like he had anything on the ball. He looked like a statue in the pocket. He didn't have any pocket movement. And people are looking like,
the last 5 weeks, though.
People are like, oh, he just looks washed. But the thing is, he played. I mean, he played some pretty hard teams. Before I feel that Michael Penix would have done better against the Vikings, Chargers, and the Broncos, I have to see Michael Penix play the Vikings, the Chargers, and the Broncos before I say that. I feel like he would have done a lot any better. But I do like what I'm seeing from the kids so far. The ball looks good. He doesn't look too don't look like deer in headlights back there. It looks calm and composed. So I do like what I'm seeing from the rookie so far here. I haven't seen enough to say he's better than Kurt yet. I think a lot of people will just because of how he moves in the pocket. And when they see the eye test, he passes the eye test so much better than Kurt. Because Kirk is just not passing the eye test whatsoever.
and not so
any pocket movement makes a kid look like he's Michael Vick back there. The kid steps up in the pocket, he's Michael Vick now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I get it. I get it. But this is a win and loss league here, brother. And you better bring me some W's before I start singing those praises because Kurt brought us 7 of them. You know what I mean? I need to see you bring us some before I feel the same way. I'm not just going to anoint the guy. Opportunity this week, right? Big opportunity this week, and not necessarily great competition. It's him. And we got Carolina this week.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the Bucs have New Orleans.
The Bucs have to lose. So that's the one we're in the playoffs.
And they have New Orleans.
Yep.
And I'm just going to tell you guys right now, I wouldn't bet that. I wouldn't put money on that. And like you can hope that the Bucs are going to lose, but save your money, ladies and gents, if you were thinking about putting money on that outcome.
You're not buying real estate in Spencer Rattler Island?
No, I sold my Spencer Rattler house, man. I did buy real estate in it. I did. I had real estate in the Spencer Rattler neighborhood, man. And when we first started, so it's funny because I had a miss in the beginning of the season and I had a make in the beginning of the season. So my miss in the beginning of the season was Spencer Rattler because I was like, I think Spencer Rattler could be a guy.
I'm right there with you. I was right there with you.
He's not a guy. But my make was Bo Nix, though. I also said during the preseason, I think Bo Nix is looking like a guy. He's looking like he could play the part of a starting quarterback in the NFL. And he was showing that in preseason. And I was like, he looks like an NFL quarterback in preseason. So I'm glad to see all these weeks later that be substantiated. And they have a winning record and he has looked like an NFL quarterback throughout. So I don't think the Spencer Rattler situation is working out. I don't think that New Orleans is working out. It might not even be Spencer Rattler because you look at the quarterback. Look at ones with Sean Payton. I mean, it's a big difference when you comparing the Bo Nix Spencer Rattler situation. Where they landed may have made a huge difference in their fortunes.
Right.
But at the same time, though, Spencer, when I'm seeing him play, he's also not passing the eye test for me.
No.
Not passing the eye test. And the eye test for me is simply this. You put a guy back there. How confident are you of getting points coming to the field? I feel like when you got a guy you're confident in, you can't wait to get the ball back, right? I can't wait because we get the ball back in our guys' hands. We only need about a minute and a half. And I know if you're Chiefs fans or if you're fans of some of these QBs, or Josh Allen, if you're a Bills fan, you know what that feeling feels like. If you're a Ravens fan, you know what the feeling feels like. Please give us the ball back, right? If you were a Jets fan last year and you had Zach Wilson, and that ball goes back to Zach Wilson, when this is not even to pick on a kid, this is just to exemplify the point.
Yeah.
And the ball goes back to Zach Wilson at the end of the game with a minute and a half. You don't have that same feeling. You don't have that same feeling. You're like, yo, he's going to go down and really make something happen. So that's kind of where I'm at with Spencer Rattler now. When I say he doesn't pass the eye test, I don't have that feeling. Jayden Daniels gave me that feeling very early. I had that feeling with Jayden Daniels after like 2 games. Yeah. I'm like, this kid is locked in, bro. Like, this kid's locked in. Like, you have the feeling like this is a baller. I wish we had a baller. Maybe Penix is a baller, but Jayden Daniels just comes off as a baller. And you know who else does too? Bo Nix and Drake May. They all come off as ballers. Like, they're all ballers.
Yep.
And I want somebody like that. I want a baller on our team, man.
I agree. And that's the thing. Maybe and you could tell like they were kind of put the kid gloves on him, right? This is the first couple of games, definitely doing the more running games. So hopefully just let it fly this last game. Like yes, it'd be nice to go to playoffs, but I mean, to host a team just to come in our house and cream us, why not just let them go? let the ball fly. Let's see what happens. We're 8-8. If we end up 8-9, who cares, right? I mean, I just don't. I'd rather just go out there and ball and see what he got. See what we got. Open the playbook a little bit. Let him throw the ball because we know he can throw. That's the thing. We know he can throw the ball. Sure. He has some nice, and that's not. He has some nice passes against Washington.
That's where we say he is passing the eye test. Like those kind of things too. Even a miss pass can still pass the eye test. You can still see because the player has the ability to make it. When you see some players aren't making the passes, so at all. I would be worried if I was in with the Colts with the Anthony Richardson situation. That's concerning to me and I feel like Milroe projects to be the same kind of guy right now. That as I'm kind of looking, a guy who's big, strong guy, can run and get you yards. The deep ball, can throw the deep ball pretty good because the arm can throw the thing out the stadium. But the intermediate, the accuracy, they're just feeling like the guy's just going to go in there and have that quarterback IQ, the same kind of QB IQ a Jayden Daniels kind of player. It has always seemed like he's had. Yeah. The thing that got Bryce Young into the league, that's the only reason Bryce pretty much is here. The opposite stature size, the opposite of Jalen Milroe.
Yeah.
But it's those skills that got Bryce into the league.
Right.
So,
right.
What are your thoughts there on that?
Well, with Milroe, he's had through some wars, right? He's had some moments.
He's had some moments
where
he's had moments with that ball in the air.
Right, and let's face it. I mean, early season he put the whooping on Georgia. Like that's not he had a. I mean, it was a lot of first half stats, but let's say he still won the game. But the thing with Anthony, he only had the one season in Florida, and it wasn't like it was. I mean, he had some ups and downs. So at least with Milroe, at least you can say, okay, yes, the comp is very similar, but at least he's played 3 or 4 years at a college level versus Richardson was, just one season, at Florida. So, so I think there's a little more to work with there. He's been battle tested versus Richardson had the one season. So,
yeah, I feel like too that a lot of if you look at some of the Milroe's games, he's had some games where he's just played lights out, fabulous. So that I think that it's going to be a situation where he's going to end up getting drafted by someone, only because when you look at the measurables, like. A lot of teams say you can't teach it, right? You can't teach height, you can't teach weight, you can't teach speed, and you can't teach arm strength. That's why a lot of these guys that kind of project like Milroe can get into the league so easily. Yeah. Whereas guys like your Bryce Young, I mean, you better be incredible.
Right. And it's nice to see that Bryce is kind of he's
turning a corner here,
moments.
Man. Like Bryce is looking like an NFL quarterback here, man. If you're Panthers fans, you got to be happy with what you're seeing here, man, because even though your week not be, your year might not be going the way you want it to go, your pick does not look like a bust. You know what I mean? Like, he was not looking good. And I love Bryce. And I have not sold my Bryce real estate. I don't know if I'll ever sell it. Just due to being a Bama fan. But at the same time, he wasn't playing well last year, and I had to acknowledge that. And this year, he looks like an NFL quarterback. He's playing like an NFL quarterback. He looks calm back there. Ever since he came back after the Andy Dalton benching, he came back. He's looked like an NFL quarterback. So I think that it can happen. You know, we do have some good QBs that can come out of Bama. Let's talk a little bit NBA here, man. Why the NBA ratings are down big and why it's new media partnership here. Well, why are NBA ratings down? So let's talk about this on Yahoo Sports. It says a month into the season, NBA ratings are down 28% on ESPN. Meanwhile, the ratings for its game on TNT are flat at 1.8 million per game, while ESPN is slightly behind at 1.77 per game. This comes after every major studio fell over itself vying for the rights to NBA games this year. You know what's crazy to you guys? Just for people who feel like the NBA, they're like, oh, the NBA, what's happening to it? Nobody's gonna watch it. You're crazy. They would bid for those rights again. Like, if those rights came, let's say Amazon says, you know what? We don't like what's going on here, man. We're just gonna get out of the NBA business. Guess what other teams or other people are ready to do? Other people are ready to come with that money and say, we will pick up where they left off. So you can be doing bad, but how bad are you really doing here? You know what I mean? If you're the NBA, I think that you definitely hope to do better, right? You hope that people you have increasing viewership, that you will play the games, and you'll have the stands look full. I'll give them that. They like their people going to the games. They're just not watching them. For one, there's 82 of them. I'm not watching all 82 of these. I have a life. Like, are you kidding me? I can't watch 82 games. So there's 82 games for one. For two, you're going up against football season, and we all know. I'll watch some basketball during football season, but we all know what season it is, right? It's football season. It's kind of like baseball during basketball season. I won't watch baseball during basketball season. I will usually wait till basketball season subsided a bit before I get into baseball. And it's the same thing here with the NFL. I'm watching the NFL right now. Why would I watch the NBA? You know what I mean? After All-Star break, maybe. And I think a couple things with the NBA product, we don't even know who's playing these days. How about that? You could get your family together, go on a day, get your friends, go hang out, to get your buddies, and you don't know who's playing the game. I had a friend who went to the game, took his kids to a game, and he had to give them a pep talk at the beginning of the game that the players that they went to see might not be playing. And I was like, that's incredible. That's terrible. To say, hey, we're here to see the Heat, but you ain't seeing Jimmy tonight. You know what I mean? Like, so that is a problem. You got to have the people, you got to have the stars playing. And the last biggest issue, which a lot of people are seeming to talk about, is the 3-point line. People feel like it's become such a league of just running up to the 3-point line as quick as possible and jacking up a shot that you're missing a lot of that dunking, a lot of the fouling, a lot of the kind of trying to go through the lane, make the game a little bit more physical. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, anyone that's complaining about the 3-point line, please go Google or go watch a 90s basketball game or early 2000 games. Those games were so boring.
Man, you mean the 76 to 81 games? Those games.
Now, I agree. Maybe I've heard somebody make the suggestion of like make the 3-point line end kind of at the sides where it just ends into where you basically lose the corner 3 shot. So I kind of like that idea. Maybe stretching it out more, make it a little more, but I think is what also with the NBA with scheduling. It's like, stop trying to go against football. Go like put games on like Christmas Eve.
What do they do though, Eugene? They got to get through a lot of games. They have a lot of games in their inventory, and a lot of these bids, these companies that bid for these contracts expect those amount of games in their inventory. They're going to say, hey,
no, I get it, but like schedule them like not during like football days. Like you have so many games, so many days where you can not go against football or go against
Thursday. You don't do no Saturday games, right? Maybe a Sunday game for people that don't watch football. Maybe a game or two, about a 12 o'clock game or two on Sunday.
Or they put their schedule out. Like the NFL puts their schedule out. You can kind of look at it. So if you've got, what was it? It was one. Who was it? It was a really bad Monday Night Football game. It's like I can't remember who it was. Like I feel like I didn't even watch it. It was so bad. Oh, I mean, it was probably you could have against the Sunday night. Was it Sunday on the Falcons? Yeah, Sunday Falcons versus the Raiders. Like, go against that game. Like there's nobody you can go against that game, like or pick your Saturdays, or like when like December, like when there's basically nothing on, like, and they jam pack like I think like 10 games like on a Monday. It's like stretch it out and put some games on Christmas Eve, New Year's, like our New Year's Eve or whatever. Go against some of these lesser bowl games. It's just like just be smarter with the scheduling. And like you said, everyone's still. I just feel like lean into who you are. You're not beating football right now, and it's for the foreseeable future. You're
Oh,
not
they
beating
never
football.
have. It's not
Right.
going to happen.
Right.
It's not
So
gonna
lean
happen.
into that.
And I love basketball, and
do too.
football's still slightly better for me. Like I like football a little better, but I love basketball. So I would still like it's like 1 and 1A for me, to be honest with you. Because once I get into like February, I'm gonna be such a basketball nerd. It's gonna be ridiculous.
Right. Because we got to trade that. We're over. Okay, we're kind of got over our football hangover, and now we got the trade deadline. And by the way, they did the trade deadline the week of the Super Bowl, which was very stupid. I don't know why they did that.
No, you want to be able to take that for yourself, man. You want to be able to take that week for yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah, just do it the next week. Why? Just either
just move it out of the window so where you don't have these scheduling conflicts.
Right, or do it the week where they have the week off. Like, don't do it the week of a Super Bowl. But that makes zero sense. It's like stop trying to put yourself against football. You're not beating them. You're not. It's like even like preseason games are beating we're beating like baseball games. That tells you something right there. It's like so you just got to find that little niche, and I think that being on like just being able more accessible on like internet, like Amazon and and I think with Peacock as well, and you're gonna have, and obviously ESPN's gonna, I think they're gonna offer a better app down the road. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where you're gonna see the more viewers, because that's, I think, how most of us consume it. We don't sit down and watch on the TV. So I think a lot of us are. So when you can make it a lot more accessible, that's look at the NFL. How do we make ourselves more accessible? Oh, let's go put ourselves on YouTube. And it's like I mean, they were already one of the tops, but again, they keep putting themselves. They never take themselves off regular TV, which I don't think the NBA should either. But
no,
keep putting yourself out there in different markets. So, and it's again, just lean into who you are. So don't worry about trying to beat football, but be smart with your scheduling.
Well, as we end this show here, one of the things I'm going to end this show with is some perspective for people who feel like the NBA or sports are just going away. And we heard those numbers, right? 1.7 million viewership on TNT, down from what it was before. Now, when you look at, I just looked up some of the most popular shows that have ever been on television, like Friends, stuff like that, Breaking Bad, stuff like that, what their average viewership is. The NBA is destroying these shows. It's destroying these shows. So it's like let's have some perspective about it's down relative to itself. And it's down relative to the NFL, of course, which is a powerhouse. But when you talk about these sports, whether it's NFL, NBA, MLB, and their viewership numbers, they're usually only competing with themselves. When you put those guys up against regular television, like some of your more popular television shows, they're destroying these shows casually. They'll casually destroy these shows. And these shows will be shows that people are talking about for decades. So let's I think it's a problem, but these guys aren't poor. Let's not get crazy and get the GoFundMe's out for the NBA. Anything to add on that? I'll give you the last word.
No, you're right. I mean, we all it's the thing that always I think helps them is like the product is still great to watch on TV versus and live. That's the thing. You can go see it live and it's great. And you see watch it on
amazing.
TV.
I like the baseball games live too, man. They're amazing.
Yeah, football. I've been to a couple of football games. I really don't like.
You can watch a football game live, but you can watch it on television and get a pretty good experience. Especially if you're a red zone guy like me. You can watch and get a pretty good experience on TV. I'm the same with you on football. I maybe that's because I like football more, though. I don't know if that's a me thing, just liking football more, Eugene. In general, like I like football more. So because I like football more, maybe it's equally entertaining to me at home and in person. You know what I mean? Whereas with the NBA, I'm a little bit more entertained in person. Now, when it comes to the NBA and good NBA games, they're as good as anything else. A good NBA game is as good as anything else out there.
Right.
It's just that for one, the inventory is so much. You got 82 games. Who can follow 82 games in any given season? I don't even think the players want to play 82 games. Look at what they're doing. The season's too long for them. So it's like, and that's another thing too. You just talk about the fact that a lot of these guys don't even start playing until around the All-Star break. Like, these guys they're not even taking it serious themselves in around October, November, December. So I feel like that makes a lot of people, or makes us as a fan base, not take it quite as serious around this time of year.
That's true. But I mean, you still got some really good teams out there playing each night.
Yeah,
but again,
some good stars too.
Again, but we're all losing some guys to injury now as well. So I'm not worried about it. I know the viewership's down, but I think
it is, and it's down. 20% is nothing to sneeze at. Don't get me wrong. 20% is sucks. Like that's significant. That's a significant, and it's something that the NBA needs to look at. But I'm with you though. I'm not losing any sleep for the billionaires of the NBA and Adam Silver. I think they're going to figure this thing out.
Yep, I agree.
This is Just Stats. Reggie Johnson, Eugene Morton. Check us out. Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple, blah, 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 Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts. I will see you next time.